Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the wide window of his office looking out at the endless stars. The space station Nexus Prime was huge, home to millions of beings from across the galaxy. Ships came and went every day, carrying goods and people between worlds, but today felt different. Today something was wrong. His door chimed and Lisa Grant walked in. She was his best aide, smart and quick. Her face looked worried as she carried a data pad in her hands. "Admiral, you need to see this," she said, placing the pad on his desk. "The long-range sensors picked up something big heading our way." Jake picked up the pad and looked at the readings. His eyes went wide. The numbers showed a massive ship bigger than anything he had ever seen. The energy coming from it was like nothing in the records. But what made his blood run cold was where it came from. "This is from Earth's sector," he said quietly. Lisa nodded. "The computer says it's human tech, but that can't be right. Earth doesn't have ships like this." Jake knew she was wrong, but he couldn't tell her why. As Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, he knew secrets that most humans didn't. He knew that Earth had been working on something big for years, but even he didn't know it would be this big. The emergency alarm rang through the station. Red lights flashed in the halls as beings ran to their posts. Jake grabbed his jacket and headed for the council chamber. Lisa followed close behind. The chamber was huge, with seats for hundreds of council members. 12 different species had their own sections, each designed for their needs. The air was thick with worry and fear as representatives talked in quick, nervous voices. At the center of the room stood Zethkar, the war minister of the Vorthan Empire. His scales were dark green, and his yellow eyes showed anger. The Vorthans were warriors, always ready for a fight. They had been the strongest military power in the galaxy for centuries. "This human ship threatens us all," Zethkar said, his voice deep and rough. "We should attack before it gets closer to our worlds." Ambassador Krell stepped forward. She spoke for the Hive Queen, and her insect-like features twitched as she talked. "Violence is not always the answer. We should try to talk to them first." "Talk?" Zethkar laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "This ship could destroy whole fleets. We cannot let it reach the core worlds." Jake walked to the human section and took his seat. Other council members looked at him with suspicion and fear. For 5 years, humans had been the newest members of the council. Most aliens saw them as young and weak, barely able to travel between stars. The council leader, an old being called Elder Knox, raised his hand for silence. His blue skin glowed softly as he spoke. "We have all seen the sensor data. This vessel approaches from human space. Admiral Morrison, what can you tell us about this ship?" All eyes turned to Jake. He felt the weight of their stares, knowing that his next words could change everything. He had to be careful. Too much truth might start a war. Too little might make things worse. "The ship is indeed from Earth," Jake said slowly. "But I don't have full details about its mission or capabilities." This was partly true. He knew Earth had been building something, but the details were kept secret even from him. The council members whispered among themselves, their voices mixing into a buzz of worry. Zethkar slammed his fist on his seat. "You expect us to believe that? Your people build a superweapon and you know nothing about it?" "It might not be a weapon," Jake replied, trying to stay calm. "Earth has always been peaceful in our dealings with the council." "Peaceful?" another voice called out. It was Commander Vell from the Crystal Union. His body was made of living crystal that sparkled in the chamber lights. "Your species fights wars on your own world. You expand into new systems every year. How is that peaceful?" Jake felt his temper, rising but kept it under control. It was true that humans were expanding fast, but they needed new worlds for their growing population. Other species had done the same thing long ago. Elder Knox held up his hand again. "We must decide what to do. This ship will reach the core systems in 3 days. If it is hostile, millions could die." The chamber erupted in voices as different. Species argued about what to do. The Vorthans wanted to attack immediately. The peaceful Ethereals wanted to send messages of welcome. The traders from the Merchant Guild worried about their trade routes. The Crystal Union suggested building Defenses around important worlds. Lisa leaned over to Jake and whispered, "Sir, the energy readings are getting stronger. Whatever that ship is, it's not slowing down." Jake nodded but said nothing. He watched the chaos in the chamber and wondered what Earth was thinking. Sending such a powerful ship to the galactic core was either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. After an hour of arguments, Elder Knox called for a vote. The options were simple: attack the human ship, try to talk to it, or prepare defenses and wait. The vote was close, but the military option won. "We will send a joint fleet to intercept this vessel," Elder Knox announced. "If it is peaceful, we will escort it safely. If it is hostile, we will stop it before it can threaten our worlds." Zethkar smiled, showing sharp teeth. "My ships will lead the attack." "It will not be an attack," Elder Knox corrected. "It will be a peaceful interception. Admiral Morrison, you will join the fleet as our representative to the humans." Jake stood up slowly. "I understand, Elder, but I hope we can solve this without fighting." "So do we all," Elder Knox said, but his glowing eyes showed doubt. As the council members left the chamber, Jake felt the weight of what was coming. In 3 days, human and alien ships would meet in space. He just hoped that when the shooting started, there would be anyone left to pick up the pieces. The future of both humanity and the galaxy might depend on what happened in those next few days. Captain Sam Johnson walked onto the bridge of the USS Defiance, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The bridge was huge, bigger than most buildings back on Earth. Screens covered the walls, showing star maps, energy readings, and ship status reports. The crew worked quietly at their stations, focused on their jobs. "Captain on deck," called out Commander Kate Phillips, his second in command. She was tough and smart, with short brown hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. "What's our status, Kate?" Sam asked, settling into his command chair. The chair was built for comfort during long missions, but he rarely felt relaxed in it. "We're 2 days out from the galactic core," Kate replied, looking at her tablet. "Long-range sensors show a fleet approaching our position. 7 different ship types, all armed." Sam nodded. He had been expecting this. Earth Command had warned him that the aliens might not welcome the Defiance with open arms. The ship was too big, too powerful, and too advanced for them to ignore. "How many ships?" Sam asked. 37 total, said Lieutenant Pete Walsh from the communications station. "They're demanding we stop and surrender, sir." Sam almost smiled. Surrender? They clearly didn't understand what the Defiance really was. This wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's greatest achievement, built in secret over 20 years using the best technology from Earth and beyond. Dr. Alex Turner looked up from his science station. He was young for a chief science officer, but his brain worked faster than any computer. His messy red hair and thick glasses made him look like a student, but he knew more about alien technology than anyone alive. "Sir, their ships are impressive, but they're using old designs," Alex said. "The Vorthan battleships are maybe 50 years old. The Crystal Union ships are newer, but they rely too much on energy shields." "And us?" Sam asked, though he already knew the answer. "We're using tech that's at least 100 years ahead of anything out there." Alex grinned. "The quantum resonance systems alone could power a small planet." Sam remembered the day they had first found the alien artifacts on Mars. He had been a young officer then, working security for the dig site. When the scientists opened the first alien vault, everything changed. Inside were machines and computers from a dozen different alien races, left behind by some ancient civilization. Earth's best minds had spent years studying those artifacts. They learned how alien shields worked, how their weapons fired, and how their ships moved through space. But humans didn't just copy what they found. They made it better. The Defiance was the result of that work. From the outside, it looked like a human warship, long and gray with weapon ports along its sides. But inside it was something completely new. Human engineering mixed with alien science created something that neither species could build alone. "Sir, we're getting another message," Pete said. "This one's from Admiral Morrison." Sam knew Morrison. He was a good man, caught between Earth And the aliens. Sam felt sorry for him, but he had his orders. Put him through, Sam said. Morrison's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired and worried. Behind him, Sam could see the bridge of an alien ship, all curved walls and soft lights. Sam, what the hell are you doing out here? Morrison asked. The entire Galactic Council thinks Earth is starting a war. Just following orders, Jake, Sam replied. Earth Command sent us on a mission. We're not here to fight anyone. Then what? Are you here for? That ship of yours is scaring everyone. The Vorthans want to blow you up before you reach the core worlds. Sam looked at his crew. They all knew the real reason for their mission, but it was classified at the highest levels. Even Morrison didn't know the truth. We're here to protect the galaxy, Sam said finally. There's something out there, something dangerous. We have proof. Morrison's face changed. What kind of proof? Dr. Turner stepped forward. Admiral, we've detected energy signatures in the outer rim systems. Dead worlds that used to have billions of people. Something destroyed them. And it wasn't war. Show me, Morrison said. Alex worked at his controls, sending data through the communication link. Charts and graphs appeared on Morrison's screen, showing energy patterns and radiation levels from a dozen different star systems. These signatures matched theoretical models of an ancient threat, Alex explained. We call them the Devourers. They consumed entire civilizations before disappearing thousands of years ago. Morrison studied the data, his face getting more worried with each screen. Are you saying they're back? We think so, Sam said. Earth found references to them in the Martian artifacts. The ancient races left warnings, instructions on how to fight them. That's why we built the Defiance. The truth was even bigger than that. Earth's leaders had been preparing for this day for 20 years. They knew that humanity was too young, too weak to stand alone against an ancient enemy. But they also knew that the current galactic powers weren't strong enough either. The Defiance was meant to be a bridge between old and new, combining the best of human innovation with alien wisdom. Its quantum resonance cannon could disrupt the biomechanical systems that the Devourers used. Its shields could adapt to energy patterns that no one had seen for millennia. Sir, Commander Phillips said quietly, the alien fleet is taking battle positions. Sam looked at the tactical display. The enemy ships were spreading out, trying to surround the Defiance. It was a classic military formation, designed to prevent escape and maximize firepower, but they were treating this like a normal space battle, and the Defiance was anything but normal. Should we power up weapons? Kate asked. Sam thought for a moment. Starting a fight would make everything worse, but letting the aliens think Earth was weak might be just as dangerous. The galaxy needed to know that humanity could protect itself and others. Bring the quantum systems online, Sam ordered, but keep the weapons powered down. Let them see what we can do without starting a war. The bridge hummed as the Defiance's advanced systems came to life. Energy flowed through quantum channels, creating fields that bent space itself. The ship's hull began to glow with a soft blue light as power built up in its cores. On the main screen, Sam could see the alien ships starting to back away. Their sensors were probably going crazy, trying to figure out what they were looking at. Sir, we're getting signals from all over the galaxy, Pete reported, his voice excited. Everyone's watching us. Sam smiled grimly. Good. Let them watch. Let them see that Earth wasn't the weak newcomer they thought. When the real enemy came, they would need to work together or die alone. But first, he had to convince them that humanity was here to help, not conquer. And with 37 alien warships pointing guns at his ship, that wasn't going to be easy. Space was silent between the two fleets. The Defiance hung in the darkness like a glowing star, its blue energy fields making the alien ships look old and dim. On both sides, weapons were ready, but not yet firing. Everyone waited to see who would make the first move. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Vorthan battleship, watching the screens that showed both fleets. His hands were sweaty as he tried to think of words that might prevent a war. Behind him, Zethkar paced back and forth, his claws clicking on the metal floor. This is taking too long, the Vorthan war minister growled. That human ship grows stronger every minute. We should attack now while we still can. Give me more time, Morrison said. I can make them understand. On the communication screen, Captain Johnson waited patiently. His crew worked around him, but their faces showed they were ready for battle. Morrison could see the strength in these humans, the quiet confidence that came from knowing they had superior technology. Sam, I need you to explain this properly, Morrison said. The Council needs proof of this ancient threat you're talking about. Right now, all they see is Earth's biggest warship heading toward their most important worlds. Johnson nodded to Dr. Turner, who began working at his station. We're sending you everything we found, Jake. Scan data from 15 dead star systems, energy readings that match no known technology, and references from the Martian artifacts. The data flowed across Morrison's screens. He saw worlds that had once been green and alive, now nothing but dead rock floating in space. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They seemed to eat other forms of energy, growing stronger as they consumed. My God, Morrison whispered as he read the reports. How long have you known about this? Earth Command has been studying these patterns for 10 years, Johnson replied. We kept it secret because we weren't sure, and we didn't want to cause panic. But 6 months ago, we detected new activity in the outer rim. The signatures are getting stronger. Commander Phillips stepped into view on the screen. Admiral, show him the timeline data, the progression of energy buildup. New charts appeared, showing how the strange energy had been growing in the dead systems. The pattern was clear. Something was waking up out there, something that had been sleeping for thousands of years. Morrison felt cold as he understood what he was seeing. You think they're coming back? We're sure of it, Johnson said. The question is when and whether we'll be ready. A new voice joined the conversation. It was General Helen Carter, speaking from Earth Command through a secure channel. Her image appeared next to Johnson's on the split screen. Admiral Morrison, I'm authorizing the release of classified information, Carter said. Her gray hair and stern face showed the weight of command. The Defiance isn't just a warship. It's a prototype for a new kind of defense system. What kind of system? Morrison asked. Dr. Turner spoke up. The quantum resonance technology can disrupt biomechanical systems like the ones the Devourers use. But it only works if multiple ships coordinate their attacks. We need the whole galaxy working together. Morrison turned to look at Zethkar, who had stopped pacing to listen. The Vorthan's yellow eyes showed interest despite his anger. You're saying this ship was built to fight these Devourers? Zethkar asked. Not just this ship, Johnson replied. We've been building a whole fleet, but they're not ready yet. The Defiance is the only one complete. That's why we're here, to prove the technology works and to ask for help. Commander Phillips added, Our intelligence shows the Devourers will reach the outer colonies within months. If we don't stop them there, they'll consume everything in their path. Morrison felt the weight of the moment. Everything he thought. He knew about Earth's intentions was wrong. They weren't here to conquer or threaten, they were here to save everyone. I need to speak with the other fleet commanders, Morrison said. This changes everything. For the next hour, Morrison talked, with leaders from 7 different species. Each captain and admiral had to see the data for themselves. Some believed immediately, especially the older races who had legends about ancient destroyers. Others took more convincing. Commander Vell from the Crystal Union was one of the hardest to convince. His crystalline body sparkled with different colors as his emotions changed. How do we know this isn't a human trick to make us trust them? Because the energy signatures are real, replied Captain Nira of the Ethereal Fleet. Her ghostly form floated above her ship's bridge as she spoke. My people have myths about the Star Eaters from long ago. These readings match the old stories. Slowly, the alien commanders began to accept the truth. The human ship wasn't their enemy. It might be their only hope. But Zethkar still had doubts. Even if this threat is real, why should we trust humans to lead the fight? They've been in space for barely 50 years. Johnson's voice was calm but firm. Because we're not asking to lead. We're asking to help.
The Defiance was built using
technology from all our races: human engineering, Vorthan weapons, crystal union power systems, ethereal energy fields. It's proof that we're stronger together. Morrison felt a spark of hope. You're proposing an alliance. More than that, General Carter said from Earth. We're proposing a new kind of cooperation. Share technology, coordinate fleets, combine our strengths. The Devourers beat us before because we fought alone. This time, we fight as one. Dr. Turner showed new data on the screens. The quantum resonance effect is amplified when multiple ships work together. One ship like the Defiance can hurt a Devourer vessel. 10 ships working together can destroy one. 100 ships could stop a whole fleet. The alien commander studied the projections. The math was clear. Cooperation wasn't just helpful, it was necessary for survival. Commander Vell's crystal body turned bright blue, showing excitement. Your ship would share its technology with our fleets? All of it, Johnson promised. Weapons, shields, engines, everything. We'll teach your engineers how to build quantum resonance systems. In return, we need your help to defend the galaxy. Morrison looked around at the faces on his screens. Fear was being replaced by hope, suspicion by understanding. But they were running out of time. Sir, Pete Walsh called from the Defiance's communication station. We're getting readings from the outer rim. High-energy signatures moving fast toward inhabited systems. The blood drained from Morrison's face. How fast? At their current speed, they'll reach the colony worlds in 72 hours, Dr. Turner reported. The Devourers weren't coming someday. They were coming now. Johnson stood up in his command chair. All ships, this is Captain Johnson. We need to work together starting right now. The real enemy is almost here. Morrison looked at the tactical display showing both fleets. In a few hours, they had gone from enemies preparing to fight each other to allies facing a threat that could destroy them all. What are your orders, Captain? Morrison asked, and he meant it. The chain of command had just changed forever. The darkness of space suddenly filled with light. Massive shapes appeared at the edge of the star system, emerging from hyperspace like nightmares coming to life. They were not ships in any normal sense. These were living things mixed with metal, twisted and wrong, bigger than cities and hungry for destruction. Captain Johnson stared at the main screen as sensors counted the enemy force. How many? He asked quietly. 12 major vessels, Dr. Turner reported, his voice shaking. Each one is 3 times the size of our biggest battleship, and there are smaller ones too, hundreds of them. The Devourer ships looked like they had been grown rather than built. Black metal mixed with organic tissue, forming shapes that hurt to look at. Tentacles as thick as buildings reached out from their hulls, ending in mouths full of metal teeth. Energy crackled between them, feeding from one ship to another. Admiral Morrison watched from the bridge of the Vorthan ship, his face pale. Dear God, what are those things? Commander Phillips checked her readings on the Defiance. They're scanning us, sir. Whatever those tentacles are doing, they're trying to understand our technology. They learn fast, Dr. Turner added. The old records say they adapt to whatever they fight. If we don't stop them quickly, they'll figure out how to beat us. Captain Johnson opened a channel to all ships in the combined fleet. Human and alien voices mixed together as crews prepared for battle. All vessels, this is Johnson. Form up according to the plan we discussed. Quantum resonant ships take point positions. Everyone else provides cover fire. The Allied fleet moved into formation. The Defiance took the center position, its blue energy fields growing brighter. Around it, 37 alien ships spread out in a careful pattern. Each ship had been given basic quantum resonance equipment from the Defiance's stores, simple devices that could link their weapons to the main. System. Chief Engineer Maria Santos worked frantically in the Defiance's engine room. Sweat ran down her face as she connected alien power systems to human quantum cores. Sir, the modifications are holding, but I don't know for how long. We're pushing everything past safe limits. Do what you can, Maria, Johnson replied. We only need it to work once. Admiral Tony Clark commanded the alien fleet from his flagship. He was an old soldier who had fought in a dozen wars, but he had never seen anything like the Devourers. All ships, watch your energy output. These things seem to feed on power. Don't give them more than they can handle. The Devourer fleet began to move toward them. They didn't fly like normal ships. Instead, they seemed to swim through space, their tentacles pushing against the fabric of reality itself. As they moved, space around them grew dark, as if they were eating the light of stars. Dr. Susan Miller spoke from her research station on the Defiance. She was Earth's top expert on ancient civilizations, and she had spent years studying the Martian artifacts. Captain, the old records mention something called the core mind. It's the central intelligence that controls all Devourer ships. If we can find it and destroy it, the others might shut down. How do we find this core mind? Johnson asked. It should be the biggest ship, probably in the center of their formation, Susan replied. But it will be heavily protected. Johnson studied the enemy formation on his tactical display. The largest Devourer ship hung in the middle of the group, surrounded by smaller vessels. Tentacles connected it to all the others, creating a web of living metal and flesh. There, he pointed. That's our target. Commander Phillips ran calculations on her computer. Sir, we'll have to get through their entire fleet to reach it. The odds aren't good. Then we make our own odds, Johnson said. He opened a channel to Dr. Turner. Alex, what happens if we overload the quantum resonance system? Dr. Turner's eyes went wide. Sir, that could destroy the Defiance. The energy release would be massive. But would it work against the core mind? Turner worked at his controls, running simulations. Maybe. The quantum cascade might disrupt their biomechanical systems, but we'd have to get very close, and we might not survive the explosion. Johnson looked around his bridge at the crew he had served with for years. They were good people, brave people. They deserved better than to die in a suicide mission. But if they didn't try, billions would die across the galaxy. Sir, Lieutenant Joe Parker called from the weapons station. The enemy ships are powering up. I'm reading massive energy buildup in their forward sections. The Devourer ships began to glow with red light. Their tentacles writhed in space, building power for an attack that would destroy the Allied fleet in seconds. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Admiral Clark shouted over the radio. The combined fleet scattered as red beams of energy lanced through space. One beam caught a Crystal Union ship and the vessel simply vanished, consumed by the alien weapon. Another beam grazed a Vorthon battleship, melting half its hull in an instant. Return fire, Johnson ordered. The Allied ships opened fire with everything they had. Laser beams, plasma cannons, and missile storms struck the Devourer vessels. But the alien ships seemed to absorb the energy, growing brighter and stronger with each hit. It's not working, Admiral Clark reported. Our weapons are making them stronger. Dr. Turner checked his readings. The quantum resonance system needs more power. We need all ships to link their energy systems to ours. That will leave them defenseless, Commander Phillips warned. We're already defenseless, Johnson replied. Maria, can you handle the extra power load? Engineer Santos' voice came over the intercom. I can try, sir, but if this doesn't work, we're all dead anyway. One by one, the alien ships connected their power systems to the Defiance. Energy flowed between vessels, creating a network of light in the darkness. The human ship began to glow like a small sun as quantum energy built up in its cores. The Devourers seemed to sense the change. Their attack shifted focus, concentrating all their fire on the Defiance. Red beams hammered against the ship's shields, which flickered and sparked under the assault. Shields at 60%, Phillips reported. We can't take much more of this. Johnson gripped his command chair as the ship shook around him. Alex, how much longer? 30 seconds to full charge, Turner called back. An explosion rocked the bridge as one of the Devourer beams broke through the shields. Smoke filled the air and sparks flew from damaged computers. Lieutenant Parker slumped over his console, blood running from a cut on his forehead. Joe! Johnson started to move toward his weapons officer. I'm okay, sir, Parker said, wiping blood from his eyes. Quantum cannon is ready to fire. Johnson looked at the main screen. The core mine ship filled the display, its tentacles reaching toward the Defiance like the arms of a hungry monster. This was their only chance. All ships concentrate fire on the core mine, Johnson ordered. Everything we have right now. The combined fleet opened fire as one. Alien weapons joined with human technology, all linked through the quantum resonance system. Instead of separate attacks, they became one massive beam of energy that lit up the darkness. The beam struck the core mine ship dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared along its hull, spreading like lightning across its surface. The other Devourer ships stopped moving, their tentacles going limp as the connection to their central mind was severed. "It's working," Dr. Turner shouted. "The quantum resonance is disrupting their control systems." But the victory came at a cost. The Defiance was dying. Its hull was cracked, its engines failing, its life support systems shutting down one by one. Around them, some of the alien ships were in even worse shape, their crews struggling to keep basic systems running. Johnson opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, damage reports." The responses were not good. Half the fleet was badly damaged, and several ships were beyond repair. But they were alive, and the Devourer fleet was drifting helplessly in space. "Sir," Commander Phillips said quietly, "we did it. We actually did it." Johnson nodded, but he knew this was just the beginning. There would be other Devourer fleets, other battles to fight. But now they knew they could win if they worked together. "Set course for the nearest starbase," Johnson ordered. "We have a lot of work to do." 6 months after the battle, Captain Johnson stood on the observation deck of New Haven Station watching ships come and go. But these weren't the same ships that had fought the Devourers. These were new vessels, built with combined technology, from Earth and a dozen alien worlds. The station itself was proof of how much had changed. Human engineers worked next to Crystal Union builders, while Vorthan weapon specialists shared ideas with ethereal energy experts. The old barriers between species had crumbled in the face of a common threat. Commander Phillips walked up beside him, carrying a data pad with the latest reports. "Sir, the new ships are testing better than we hoped. The quantum resonance systems are working perfectly on the alien hulls." Johnson nodded, watching a sleek new cruiser dock at the station. Half the ship was human design, half was Vorthan, but it flew better than either species could build alone. "How many ships are ready?" 43 in this sector alone." Kate replied. "Admiral Morrison says they have 60 more in the core systems, and Captain Davis is bringing 30 from Earth next week." The mention of Davis made Johnson smile. His old friend had been promoted to command Earth's new defense fleet, ships built using everything they had learned from the Defiance. The original Battleship was being rebuilt too, stronger and better than before. Dr. Turner's voice came over the station intercom. "Captain Johnson, please report to the research lab. We have something to show you." Johnson and Phillips made their way through the station's corridors. The halls were busy with people from many worlds, all working together on the galaxy's defense. Children played in the recreation areas, human kids laughing with young aliens as if they had always been friends. The research lab was huge, filled, with computers and testing equipment. Dr. Turner stood in the center, grinning like he had just discovered a new planet. Around him, scientists from 6 different species worked on various projects. "Sam, you have to see this," Alex said, leading them to a large display screen. "We've been analyzing the Devourer technology from the dead ships." The screen showed the inside of a Devourer vessel. The mix of metal and living tissue was even more disturbing up close, but now it was dead and harmless. Human and alien scientists had been studying the wreckage for months. "What did you find?" Johnson asked. "Doctor," Susan Miller stepped forward. She looked tired but excited. "The Devourers aren't really alive, not the way we understand it. They're more like machines that copy life. But the important thing is where they came from." New images appeared on the screen, showing star charts and energy readings. Susan pointed to areas marked in red. "These are the systems where we found Devourer activity. Notice the pattern?" Johnson studied the map. The red areas formed a rough circle around a dark region of space where no stars shone. "They're all coming from the same place." "Exactly," Susan said. "There's something in that dead zone, something that's been sending out Devourer fleets for thousands of years. We think it's their main base, maybe their entire civilization." Phillips frowned at the display. "How big are we talking about?" Alex worked at his controls, zooming in on the dark region. Based on the energy readings, it's enormous, maybe the size of a small solar system. And it's old, very old. Johnson felt a chill run down his spine. You're saying there's a whole devourer world out there, just waiting to send more fleets? We think so, Susan replied. But here's the good news. Our quantum resonance technology seems to be their weakness. If we can build enough ships, we might be able to attack their source directly. The door to the lab opened, and Admiral Morrison walked in. He was wearing a new uniform, one that showed his rank in the combined galactic fleet. Behind him came representatives from several alien species, including Zethkar and Commander Vel. Gentlemen, ladies, Morrison said, I've been listening to your reports. The Galactic Council has made a decision. Zethkar stepped forward, his scales now bearing scars from the recent battle. The Council has voted to form a permanent alliance. Human, Vorthon, Crystal Union, Ethereal, and all other species will share technology and coordinate defense. Commander Vel's crystal body sparkled with blue light, showing his excitement. We are calling it the Galactic Defense Alliance. Captain Johnson, the Council wants you to command the First Joint Fleet. Johnson was surprised. Me? But I'm just a ship captain. You're the captain who brought us together, Morrison said. Without the Defiance, without your crew's sacrifice, we would all be dead now. The Council trusts you. Dr. Turner looked up from his computers. Sir, if you're going to command the fleet, you should know about our latest discovery. The screen changed to show technical diagrams of new ship designs. These weren't just human ships with alien parts, or alien ships with human weapons. They were something completely new, created by minds from different worlds working as one. We're calling them Unity-class ships, Alex explained. Each one is built by a team of engineers from multiple species. They're faster than ethereal scouts, tougher than Vorthon battleships, and more powerful than anything we've ever built. The plan showed ships that looked like works of art, curved and graceful, but clearly deadly. Their quantum resonance systems were built into their very structure, making them immune to devourer feeding attacks. Johnson studied the designs with growing excitement. How many can we build? The first one should be ready in 3 months, Alex replied. After that, we can build 10 per month once all the shipyards are converted. Zethkar made a sound that might have been laughter. The Devourers will not expect this. They have faced divided species before, weak and afraid. They have never faced united worlds fighting as one. Morrison pulled up another display showing the current state of galactic defenses. We have early warning stations in 100 systems now. If another Devourer fleet appears, we'll know about it hours before they reach any inhabited worlds, and we'll be ready for them, Phillips added. Every ship in the Alliance is equipped with quantum resonance weapons now. The next time they try to feed on our energy, they'll get more than they can handle. Johnson looked around the room at the faces of his friends and former enemies. 6 months ago, they had been preparing to fight each other. Now they were planning to save the galaxy together. There's one more thing, Susan said quietly. The Martian artifacts contained more than just technology. They had a message, a warning from the ancient races who fought the Devourers before. The screen showed symbols and text that hurt to look at directly. What does it say? Johnson asked. It says that the Devourers can be defeated, but only by those who stand together. The ancient races failed because they fought alone, each species trying to save only themselves. But if all the galaxy unites, if we fight as one people instead of many, we can end the threat forever. Johnson nodded slowly. Then that's what we'll do. We'll build the fleet, train the crews, and when we're ready, we'll take the fight to them. Morrison smiled. The Council has already approved the mission. Operation Unity Storm, they're calling it. The largest fleet in galactic history, heading into the Dark Zone to end the Devourer threat once and for all. As Johnson looked out the lab window at the ships being built in the station's construction bays, he felt something he hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Real hope that the galaxy could be safe again. The Devourers had awakened something they never expected when they threatened the galaxy. They had united enemies into friends, turned fear into courage, and created something stronger than any one species could be alone. When Earth's battleship had first appeared, no one had dared to move. Now the entire galaxy was moving together and nothing would ever be the same.